Y'all, buckle up, hide your studio contracts, and say a prayer for Hollywood's last remaining truth tellers, because what Eddie Griffin just said on that podcast might be the most dangerous thing to hit the internet since Kanye found Twitter. We're talking about Malcolm-Jamal Warner, yes, Theo Huxtable, America's once beloved TV son, and Eddie just tossed the whole industry into a burning blender with one trembling confession. Are we really supposed to believe this man just vanished? Quietly? No scandal, no funeral, no nothing? Or did they erase him on purpose? Because according to Eddie, this wasn't a fall from fame. This was a takedown, a cold, calculated, covert Hollywood spiritual assassination. You think we're exaggerating? Then explain this. Why did his name disappear from headlines faster than a Netflix show with a black lead? Why was there no farewell, no tribute, no justice? And now, out of nowhere, Eddie Griffin drops a bombshell letter that Malcolm wrote to months before he vanished. A letter that literally says, if you're reading this, they failed at WHAT. Eddie, oh, it's deeper than you think. And baby, this ain't just a story, it's a setup. Let's just rip the band-aid off. Eddie Griffin didn't go on that podcast to be funny. Nah, he went on there to burn Hollywood to the ground. And the match he struck? The name Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Yep, the same Malcolm you watched grow up on your screen. The one who gave you those wholesome Cosby Show memories. The one who disappeared so quietly you didn't even notice until Eddie started sobbing on camera. So here's what went down. Eddie sat across from this tiny YouTube host in what looked like somebody's basement with bad lighting and worse audio, and for a minute, it was all jokes. Then someone casually said, "Hey, whatever happened to Malcolm-Jamal Warner?" And chilly, Eddie froze. His face dropped like someone mentioned Voldemort in Hogwarts. He didn't blink. He didn't laugh. He just stared at the mic like it was about to confess a murder. And then he said it. We didn't get along in real life. Wait, what? You mean the dynamic duo of Malcolm and Eddie were beefing behind the scenes? Yes, and apparently, it wasn't petty. It was spiritual. It was painful. And it was political. Eddie revealed that even though they'd pray together before every taping every week, like clockwork, the real tension wasn't about egos. It was about the machine they were trapped in. A machine Eddie now claims was actively trying to break Malcolm from the inside. According to Eddie, Hollywood didn't want Malcolm to just act. They wanted him to submit, play the fool, do the dance, smile for the checks. But Malcolm, he was too proud, too conscious, too unwilling to wear the mask. And that, friends, is when the system started tightening the noose. You ever notice how actors like him just start fading? One day they're everywhere, next day you blink, and it's like they never existed. That's not just coincidence. That's Hollywood working overtime. Eddie says they didn't want Malcolm's truth. They wanted him mute, marketable, controllable. And when he refused, they didn't shoot him. They just disappeared him. Now let's talk about the timeline. Because it didn't happen all at once. This was a slow erasure, a ghosting by design. Eddie remembers the late-night phone calls. Malcolm, whispering, afraid, paranoid, saying things like they're listening, they're watching, they know I know too much. At the time, even Eddie brushed it off, thought it was stress, burnout. You know how folks chalk things up when someone gets too deep, but now, in hindsight, Eddie says it all makes sense. Every whisper, every breakdown, every mysterious career cancellation, and then he dropped the bombshell. There was no funeral. No memorial, no goodbye, just silence. You hear that? Silence. That same silence the industry uses like chloroform. You speak out, they black out your existence. No press, no tribute, no TMZ, just gone. And as Eddie's voice cracked as tears hit that cheap podcast table, the host leaned in and asked, "So what really happened to Malcolm?" Eddie looked dead into that cheap webcam and dropped 7 words that stopped the internet cold. They killed him without pulling a trigger. Now hold up. Killed him? Was this metaphor? Was this literal? According to Eddie, it was something even darker, a spiritual assassination. He wasn't talking about bullets or car crashes. He was talking about something Hollywood does better than any mafia. They erase you while you're still breathing. Eddie says Malcolm wasn't on drugs. He wasn't in rehab. He wasn't in any scandal. In fact, that was the problem. Malcolm didn't spiral. He didn't self-destruct. So they had to destroy him on their own terms, quietly, strategically, systematically, and here's where it gets even spookier. Eddie claims Malcolm knew it was coming, that he had been working on a tell-all book, a manuscript so raw, so unfiltered, so damning, it would have exposed some of the deepest rot in the entertainment industry. But guess what? The entire manuscript vanished, from his laptop, from his hard drive, from his apartment. Even the physical pages? Gone. Eddie says Malcolm told him, if anything happens to me, they did it, and they'll make it look like I did it to myself. Let that sink in. And just when you think it couldn't get worse, Eddie pulled out a letter, a crumpled, handwritten letter from Malcolm himself, dated just 2 months before he disappeared. The room went cold. The host's jaw dropped. Eddie read the first line and then broke down. If you're reading this, then they failed. They don't need to kill me. They just need you to forget me. Don't let them. The internet exploded. Comments poured in like a digital floodgate had burst. This is giving Dave Chappelle in Africa vibes. I knew something was off. Where did he even go? Hollywood really does eat its young, huh? And then the conspiracy videos began. TikTok detectives, Twitter threads, YouTube psychics. Everyone started piecing together a puzzle that was right in front of us this whole time. Interviews Malcolm gave in the early 2010s resurfaced. Clips of him saying things like, whatever I do next, it'll be on my own terms or not at all. That line hit different now, like he knew the clock was ticking. Meanwhile, the mainstream media, dead silent. No follow-up, no fact-check, no tribute. The same networks that made millions off Malcolm's image were now acting like he never existed. But Eddie, he wasn't done. He kept going. He told the host that Malcolm's family was pressured into silence, that NDAs were signed, that hush money was paid, that even the people closest to him were scared to speak out. And that's when Eddie, trembling, said something that made the host actually pause the recording. I should have protected him. I should have done something, but I was too scared. We all were, and with that confession echoing through the mic, Eddie dropped one last bomb. Eddie took a deep breath, wiped his eyes, and then leaned in closer to the mic like he was about to whisper the secret to the universe. Malcolm recorded everything, he said. Wait, what? According to Eddie, Malcolm didn't just write about the darkness in Hollywood. He documented it. Hidden audio files, private Zoom calls, phone convos with producers, agents, even pastors from Christian networks who were allegedly laundering money behind gospel tours. Malcolm had it all saved in an encrypted folder he called Project Exodus. And what happened to Project Exodus? Gone, wiped, not hacked, not deleted, scrubbed. Eddie claimed Malcolm used a secure cloud service through a company that mysteriously shut down a week after his disappearance. Not a coincidence. A cover-up, but here's the kicker. Eddie didn't come empty-handed. From the pocket of his oversized hoodie, he pulled out a flash drive. It was scratched, beat up, but labeled in thick black ink. MU-Alt. He said Malcolm gave it to him back in 2021 after a weird dinner in Atlanta where Malcolm spent the whole night looking over his shoulder. Paranoid, nervous, refusing to take off his hoodie indoors. Eddie said he was never the same after that, and when the interviewer asked if he'd listened to the flash drive, Eddie said no, he was too scared. Let that marinate. Malcolm-Jamal Warner handed over potential evidence, a blueprint of the machine that erased him, and not even his closest friend could bring himself to press play. Because whatever was on that drive could end careers or end lives, and then Eddie said it. The one thing that sent Twitter, TikTok, and every half-conscious Gen Z detective into overdrive. There's a voice on there. Someone big, someone y'all worship. And when you hear what they said to Malcolm, you'll never look at your childhood the same again. Boom. And just like that, the room went silent. The interviewer looked frozen. The crew stopped breathing. You could hear a pin drop. The live chat blew up with, "Drop the files, post ID or we riot." They took Malcolm because he had receipts. But Eddie didn't post the files. Not yet. He said he needed time. He said he needed protection. He said, and I quote, "This ain't just about Malcolm. This is about all of us who survived the industry and never said a word. This is our warning." And as if on cue, within minutes of that interview going live, Eddie's Instagram went down. His TikTok, deleted. YouTube channel, shadow banned. Emails, inaccessible. Coincidence? Please. They tried to silence Eddie the same way they erased Malcolm, but this time, it might be too late. Because the internet is watching, the fans are digging, and somewhere out there, the truth is still sitting on that flash drive, waiting to burn the entire empire down. And if even 1 second of that audio leaks, Hollywood will never recover. If you think this is just another conspiracy, think again. Malcolm's truth is clawing its way back from the shadows, and Eddie just lit the fuse. Don't let this story fade like the others. Share this video, flood the comments with, and stay tuned because if that flash drive ever surfaces, we'll be the first to break it. Subscribe now before the silence gets louder.